In the heart of a sprawling African savanna, bordered by an arid desert to the north and dense jungles to the south, lay the village of Bamara. The people of Bamara lived a life that was as humble as it was beautiful, their days marked by hard work and their nights filled with stories and songs. The villagers were deeply connected to the land, relying on its fertility for survival. They were a people of the earth, attuned to the whispers of the wind and the rhythm of the rains. The land was as much a part of their identity as their names. The elders would often say, "We are the children of the soil, the keepers of its bounty, and the guardians of its spirit." Yet, for all their respect for the land, the villagers were acutely aware of its fragility. The rains were their lifeblood, and without them, the fields would wither, the livestock would weaken, and hunger would follow. In this delicate balance of life, the rainmaker held an almost divine position. Fumbani, the rainmaker of Bamara, was an elder with wisdom etched into every wrinkle on his face. He was a man of rituals and prayers, his every action steeped in the traditions passed down through countless generations. It was said that when Fumbani called upon the heavens, the skies listened, and when he sang, the clouds wept in gratitude. But Fumbani's greatest joy was not his revered role or his power over the rains. His greatest joy was his daughter, Nia. Nia was the heart of Bamara, her presence as vital to the village as the rains themselves. She was a vision of grace, her dark, glowing skin reminiscent of the fertile soil after a fresh rain, and her hair coiled like the branches of the acacia tree. But her beauty was not merely external. Nia had a soul as kind as the first drops of rain after a drought, and a voice that seemed to carry the essence of life itself. From a young age, Nia had accompanied her father during his rituals, her voice blending with his prayers to form melodies that were said to coax the clouds together. It was a gift, the villagers believed, passed down from her late mother, who had also been known for her enchanting voice. Nia's connection to the rains was not just a belief, but a deeply held truth for the people of Bamara. Her songs were considered sacred, her presence a blessing. Yet, this reverence came with a cost. Fumbani, protective to a fault, had kept Nia away from the outside world. He believed that her sacred role required her to remain untouched by worldly distractions, especially those of the heart. One day, the village's tranquil existence was disrupted by the arrival of a stranger. The sun was merciless that day, its rays piercing through the air like spears of fire. The villagers had retreated to the shade of their homes. Their activities paused until the evening brought relief. It was during this stillness that a figure appeared on the horizon, silhouetted against the shimmering heat waves. The figure was a man, his steps slow and deliberate, his body leaning on a spear for support. As he came closer, the villagers saw that he was a nomadic warrior, his attire marked by the patterns and symbols of the desert tribes. His skin was bronzed by the relentless sun, and his shoulders were broad, his presence exuding strength even in his weakened state. His name was Kiano, a warrior from the nomadic tribes that roamed the vast desert to the north. He had been separated from his tribe during a sandstorm and had wandered for days without food or water. His camel had succumbed to the journey, and he had continued on foot, driven by sheer willpower. When Kiano stumbled into Bamara, the villagers gathered cautiously, their faces wary. Outsiders were rare, and while the people of Bamara were kind, they were also protective of their close-knit community. It was Nia who broke the silence. Emerging from the shadows of her father's hut, she approached the stranger, a jug of water in her hands. Her steps were hesitant at first, but as she drew closer, she saw the desperation in his eyes and quickened her pace. "You are safe here," she said softly, lifting the jug to his cracked lips. The cool water flowed down his throat, and for a moment, he closed his eyes, savoring the relief. When he opened his eyes again, they met hers, and in that instant, a connection was forged, one that neither of them fully understood but could not ignore. Over the days that followed, Kiano recovered under Nia's care. She brought him food and water, sitting with him as he regained his strength. In return, he shared stories of his travels, tales of distant lands where the dunes stretched endlessly and the stars lit the night sky like scattered diamonds. Nia was fascinated by his stories, her imagination painting vivid pictures of the world beyond Bamara. She had always been curious about what lay beyond the boundaries of her village, and Kiano's tales ignited a longing she had never felt before. Kiano, too, found himself drawn to Nia. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, her kindness and strength shining through in everything she did. Her voice, when she sang, seemed to touch a part of him he didn't know existed. Their bond grew quietly, away from the watchful eyes of the villagers. They would meet under the baobab tree at the edge of the village, sharing stories and dreams, their connection deepening with each passing day. But their happiness was not to last. It was inevitable that their growing closeness would be discovered. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Fumbani found them together under the baobab tree, his face darkened with anger, his voice trembling with fury. "You dare to defy me," he thundered, his eyes fixed on Kiano. "She is not yours to take. She belongs to the rains, to this village." Kiano stood tall, his gaze steady. "I mean no harm to Nia," he said. "I only wish to honor her and the connection we share." But Fumbani was unyielding. "You will leave this village at once," he declared. "Your presence disrupts the balance. You are a danger to our way of life." Nia pleaded with her father, tears streaming down her face. "Please, Baba, he has done nothing wrong. He is kind and honorable." But Fumbani would not listen. That night, he performed a ritual to summon a storm, believing that the wrath of the rains would drive Kiano away. The storm came, fierce and unrelenting, but Kiano did not leave. He stood outside, battered by the winds and rain, refusing to abandon Nia. The storm unleashed by Fumbani was unlike anything the villagers had seen in years. The winds howled like restless spirits, tearing through the village, while sheets of rain turned the once dry earth into a muddy quagmire. Trees bent under the force of the gale, their branches snapping like brittle twigs. In the midst of the chaos, Kiano stood firm outside Nia's hut, his spear planted into the ground as an anchor. The storm battered him relentlessly, the rain stinging his skin and the wind threatening to knock him off his feet. Yet he refused to leave. Inside her hut, Nia watched with a mixture of fear and awe. She could hear her father chanting prayers to the heavens, his voice rising above the roar of the storm. But her heart was with Kiano. Unable to bear it any longer, Nia stepped outside, her thin shawl offering little protection against the lashing rain. She ran to Kiano, her voice barely audible over the wind. "You have to come inside," she cried, grabbing his arm. Kiano shook his head, his voice resolute. "I will not abandon you, Nia. No storm can drive me away." The sight of them standing together in defiance of the storm was a powerful image. The villagers, watching from their homes, began to murmur among themselves. Some saw Kiano's determination as a sign of true love, while others feared it would anger the spirits further. As the storm reached its peak, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the village, followed by a deafening crack of thunder. At that moment, the rain abruptly stopped, the wind stilled, and an eerie silence fell over Bamara. The villagers emerged from their homes, their faces filled with confusion and fear. In the center of the village square, a swirling vortex of light began to form. From it emerged two figures cloaked in shimmering gold and silver, a man and a woman, their forms both human and ethereal. The villagers gasped in unison. These were the spirits of the land, the guardians of the rain and the earth. Fumbani fell to his knees, his voice trembling as he addressed them. "Great spirits, forgive my arrogance. I sought only to protect the balance of our land." The male spirit spoke first, his voice deep and resonant. "Fumbani, your intentions were noble, but your actions were misguided. The rains are not yours to command as a weapon of fear." The female spirit, her voice soft but firm, turned to Nia and Kiano. "Your bond is pure, forged not from selfish desire but from respect and love. It is rare to see such devotion, and it must not be dismissed." The spirits, however, were not yet ready to offer their blessing. They decreed that Nia and Kiano would need to prove the strength of their love and commitment through a trial. They would journey together to the sacred oasis, a mythical place said to hold the key to harmony between love and duty. The journey would not be easy. The path to the oasis was treacherous, filled with scorching deserts, hostile creatures, and challenges that would test their resolve. If they succeeded, their union would be blessed, and the rains would continue to nourish Bamara. But failure would mean not only the end of their love, but also a permanent drought for the village. Without hesitation, Nia and Kiano agreed to undertake the trial. The next morning, with the blessings of the spirits and the wary hope of the villagers, Nia and Kiano set out on their journey. The first leg of their path led them across the vast savanna, where the sun blazed overhead and the grasses stretched endlessly in every direction. Despite the harsh conditions, Nia and Kiano supported each other. They shared stories to pass the time, their laughter a reprieve from the unforgiving heat. Nia sang songs that lifted their spirits, while Kiano used his skills as a warrior to hunt for food and protect them from dangers. One night, as they rested under a canopy of stars, Kiano spoke of his tribe and the life he had left behind. "We are wanderers," he said, his voice tinged with sadness. "The desert is our home, but it is a harsh one. I have seen too many of my people lost to its unforgiving sands." Nia placed a comforting hand on him. "Perhaps, when this journey is over, you will find a new home. A place where you are not merely surviving, but truly living." Her words stayed with him, planting a seed of hope in his heart. As they ventured deeper into the desert, the landscape became more hostile. The once golden savanna gave way to endless dunes, their surfaces rippling like the ocean under the midday sun. Water was scarce, and the heat was oppressive. One afternoon, as they climbed a particularly steep dune, Nia stumbled, her strength waning. Kiano rushed to her side, offering her the last of their water. "You need it more than I do," she protested. "No," he said firmly, his eyes meeting hers. "Your life is worth more than mine. Without you, this journey means nothing." His words reignited her determination. She accepted the water and pressed on, her steps fueled by his unwavering belief in her. After days of relentless travel, they finally reached the outskirts of the sacred oasis. The air grew cooler, and the scent of fresh water filled their nostrils. But before they could enter, they were confronted by the guardians of the oasis, two giant serpents with scales that shimmered like emeralds. The serpents spoke in unison, their voices echoing like thunder. "Only those whose hearts are pure and intentions true may pass. Prove your worth or turn back." The trial they faced was one of trust. Nia and Kiano were separated and placed in labyrinths filled with illusions designed to prey on their fears and doubts. Nia's trial forced her to confront her deepest fear, losing Kiano. She saw visions of him abandoning her, his love fading like a mirage. But she reminded herself of his actions, his sacrifices, and the truth of their bond. Kiano, meanwhile, faced illusions of a life of comfort and power if he chose to leave Nia behind. Yet he rejected them without hesitation, knowing that no riches could replace her. When they emerged from their respective labyrinths, their hands instinctively reached for each other. The serpents bowed their heads and allowed them to pass. As they reached the heart of the sacred oasis, Nia and Kiano saw a shimmering pool of water surrounded by lush vegetation. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Pure, clear water that seemed to radiate life. This was the source of the land's rejuvenation, the essence that kept the village fertile and the rivers full. The spirits appeared again, this time not as ethereal beings, but as a gentle breeze and a soft voice. "This pool holds the power to heal, to restore, but it will only respond to those whose love is selfless and true." Nia and Kiano approached the pool together. Holding hands, they bent down, dipping their fingers into the cool water. In that moment, a warmth spread through their bodies, a connection deeper than anything they had ever felt. It was as if the very essence of life flowed into them. The spirits spoke once more. "You have passed the trials. Your love is pure, and your hearts are one. From this moment, the curse will be broken, and your journey will end in peace." With the blessing of the spirits, Nia and Kiano began their return journey to Bamara. The journey back was filled with a newfound strength. The land seemed to welcome them. The rains began to fall softly, and the skies cleared. As they approached the village, the people of Bamara gathered at the outskirts, their faces reflecting both hope and uncertainty. When they saw Nia and Kiano, a murmur of disbelief spread through the crowd. Could it be that the storm had truly ended? Nia and Kiano stepped into the village square, their presence radiating with calm and serenity. The villagers, now emboldened by their appearance, dropped to their knees in gratitude. The rains, once withheld, began to fall gently upon the parched land, filling the rivers once again. It wasn't long before the village elders decided to unite Nia and Kiano in marriage, a celebration not just for their love, but for the newfound harmony between the land and its people. The ceremony was grand, with songs sung in their honor, gifts exchanged, and dances that filled the village with joy. During the wedding feast, Nia's father stood and raised a goblet of ceremonial wine. His eyes were glistening with tears as he addressed the crowd. Today, we celebrate more than just a union. We celebrate the strength of two souls who refuse to be divided by fear. Because of Nia and Kiano, we have been blessed with life anew. The villagers echoed his words with applause, their hearts swelling with gratitude. They believed that the couple's love had not only mended the land, but had rekindled hope within their own hearts. As years passed, Bamara thrived. The rains became steady, the rivers never dried, and the fields yielded crops beyond expectation. But more importantly, the people of Bamara carried the story of Nia and Kiano in their hearts, telling it to the next generations as a testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and faith. The couple, now rulers of their land, lived a life of quiet humility. They built a home together by the river's edge, where the waters shimmered under the moonlight. They grew old, surrounded by their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Every evening, as they sat by the fire, they would recount their journey, reminding their family of the struggles they had faced and the love that had seen them through. One evening, as Nia and Kiano gazed at the sunset, their hands entwined, they spoke of their future. "Kiano," Nia murmured, "we have seen storms come and go, but nothing can break what we have. I believe our love will carry on through the ages, long after we are gone." "And so it will, my heart," Kiano replied. "This land is our home now, but we are part of something greater, something that reaches beyond the horizon." Their story became more than just a legend. It became a legacy, a beacon for all who sought hope, guidance, and strength in times of darkness. It was a reminder that even the harshest storms could be overcome, and that true love could heal the deepest wounds. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What part of their journey touched you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story that speaks to the heart. Until next time, remember, love always finds a way.